An explosive and emotional day in court as the penalty phase for the man accused of killing SDPD officer Jonathan de Guzman continues. The emotional testimony as some of de Guzman's family members spoke about the man that they lost. Heartbreaking update in the search for Gabby Petito after investigators say they believe they have found her body. The desperate search now for her boyfriend, plus the FBI raid at his home. As hospitals across the country deal with challenges from the pandemic, some leaders from local hospitals are now weighing in. One big problem most of them say that they're facing and the concerns they're expressing about the future. ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
ABC 10 News at 11 starts now.
Emotional and compelling testimony this morning as the penalty phase for the man convicted of shooting and killing San Diego police officer Jonathan J.D. de Guzman continues. Good morning, I'm Jim Patton. This morning, the jury heard from his family members. ABC 10 News reporter Marie Cornell joining us live downtown. And Marie, it was a dramatic and emotional day in the courtroom.
It really was, Jim. This morning, we heard from his brother and his wife. They both talked about the type of person he was outside of being a police officer. His wife got very emotional as she talked about this loss she still can't accept.
I miss my husband so much. It's been 5 years. That's really hard. But I'm holding myself up because of my two kids. I want to protect them as far as I can emotionally.
Jesse Gomez sat in the courtroom listening to loved ones of San Diego police officer Jonathan J.D. de Guzman telling the jury about him as a husband, father, son, brother, and friend. They spoke about his love for the job and how his family was his life. Last week, that same jury convicted Gomez of first-degree murder for killing Officer de Guzman. This morning, as de Guzman's wife was getting off the stand after her testimony, Gomez interrupted court.
I'm truly sorry, Mr. Guzman, from the bottom of my heart.
And right after that, the judge did take a break. As you saw, emotions were running high in that courtroom. We are also told it is likely Guzman's children will be testifying today, as well as his partner at the time, Wade Irwin, who was also injured during this incident. And remember, this jury, they will be deciding if Gomez will face the death penalty or life in prison without the possibility of parole. Live from downtown, Marie Cornell, ABC 10 News.
All right, Marie, thank you very much. Well, we are tracking breaking news right now of a school shooting in Virginia that sent 2 students to the hospital with gunshot wounds. This is a look at the scene at Heritage High School in Newport. Police are still searching for that shooter, but they are not calling this an active shooter situation. The 2 17-year-olds who were shot are now at the hospital but are expected to survive. At least 3 other students were hurt. Police believe that happened in the chaos that unfolded after the shooting. Other students were evacuated and investigators are still combing the campus to make sure that no one is hiding inside, and we'll bring you updates as we get them. Well, 4 hospitals around San Diego County provided updates on challenges that they're facing in the pandemic. Data shows the unvaccinated make up a majority of those who are ill and dying from the virus in hospitals. Medical leaders from UC San Diego Health, Sharp Healthcare, Scripps Health, and Rady Children's Hospital all sharing similar struggles. A majority of those in intensive care units because of the virus are unvaccinated. UC San Diego said out of their current 11 patients in the ICU, none of them are vaccinated. Meanwhile, Scripps says they have 43 patients in the ICU and only one of them has gotten their dose. Hospitals are also facing staffing shortages, and breakthrough infections among employees are only making matters worse.
To the point now where some of our staff are actually getting paid higher than the physicians on this team just because we have to pay so much to even get them to work a shift. Before, they would work double time, extra time, just because they thought they were doing the right thing. Now they're tired and there's a vaccine. 90% of our patients are unvaccinated. So you can see why they may not feel like wanting to pick up extra shifts now when there was a choice available.
Well, healthcare officials stress concerns about a possible twindemic with flu season coming up, especially without a mask mandate and loosened restrictions. A fifth surge during the winter is expected. One doctor asked for the return of indoor mask mandates and to follow the Los Angeles County in requiring proof of vaccination or a recent test for indoor dining and gyms. Also, during today's meeting, Councilmember Marnie Von Wilpert announcing that she tested positive for COVID-19 over the weekend. She says she is symptomatic, unable to smell or taste anything. However, she says she is fortunate enough to be vaccinated and able to participate in the meeting. Von Wilpert encouraged other San Diegans to get their shots. In another blow to South Bay businesses, travel restrictions at the border have been extended once again. Non-essential travel at U.S. borders with Mexico and Canada have been extended 1 month through October 21st. They were first implemented at the beginning of the pandemic and have been extended on a monthly basis. Travel restrictions only prohibit land crossings. Travelers can still fly into Mexico and Canada and vice versa. Well, meanwhile, the White House plans to ease travel restrictions for international travelers starting in November. The AP reports the Biden administration will allow entry to foreign travelers who can show proof of vaccination as well as a negative COVID test within 3 days of their flight. Biden administration will also be tightening testing rules for unvaccinated traveling Americans before they return to the U.S. They'll soon need to be tested within a day of their return flight as well as after they arrive home. Well, some promising news from Pfizer. It is reporting positive results from its latest trial of the COVID-19 vaccine for children younger than 12. Up until now, the COVID-19 vaccines have only gotten the FDA's emergency use approval for those ages 12 and up. But Pfizer is hoping to change that. It released new data today from their study showing their vaccine was safe and effective for kids ages 5 to 11. One parent whose child participated in the trial says this is welcoming news, especially as more kids get back into the classroom.
My kindergartner, she's probably the only kindergartner that's eligible to be vaccinated in her school. So having other people that can be vaccinated just means it's that much safer in my mind for them.
Pfizer says it plans to ask for authorization for a dose for children that is 1/3 of the dose of the adult vaccine in the next few weeks. CDC's vaccine advisors are meeting this week to talk about COVID vaccine boosters. Key COVID vaccine data that will help the CDC form booster recommendations is expected to come in the next couple of weeks. Officials say they think the data will lead to wider booster recommendations. FDA has also so far only recommended boosters for people who receive the Pfizer vaccine and are either 65 years and older or at high risk of severe infection. Coming up in our next half hour, we'll speak to one local expert who is on the FDA advisory panel about the recommendations. Now, that developing story that has gripped the nation following the discovery of human remains believed to be the missing Gabby Petito, the investigation now turning to the search for her boyfriend who is now missing. This morning, the FBI executed a court-authorized search warrant at his family home in Florida. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest on the investigation, plus the news statement from Brian Laundrie's sister.
A devastating update to a desperate search. Authorities believe human remains found near Grand Teton National Park are consistent with the description of 22-year-old Gabby Petito.
Full forensic identification has not been completed to confirm 100% that we found Gabby, but her family has been notified of this discovery.
Gabby's boyfriend, 23-year-old Brian Laundrie, is a person of interest in the case after returning home to Florida from their cross-country road trip with her van, but without her. Police frantically searching for him since Friday, when his parents revealed they last saw him on Tuesday.
A swarm of FBI agents closing in on their Northport, Florida home this morning, taking his parents into a van before allowing them back inside the house.
Brian and Gabby were last seen together August 24th, leaving a hotel in Utah. Petito telling her mother over the phone the next day they were on the way to Grand Teton National Park, where that grim discovery was made on Sunday. Laundrie's sister Cassie sharing a statement exclusively with ABC News, sharing condolences and prayers with Petito's family, adding Gabby was a fun and loving influence to the boys, as she always referred to them. We will cherish all the time spent with her. She shared these postcards she received from Petito during the road trip, many of them addressed to her boyfriend's nephews and signed Aunt Gabby. One reading, "Uncle Brian and I miss you so much. Everywhere we go reminds us of you." One of the last text messages she got from Gabby reads, "I can't believe school started already," adding, "Send me a picture of the boys to show Brian. We're in Arches right now, so we don't have the best Wi-Fi."
Northport police say they've called off the extensive search in the swampy nature reserve near Laundrie's home, where they'd been looking for him for days. They believe they've exhausted all avenues there, but they are still continuing their overall search for him. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.